Well, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you.
I am very pleased, of course, to always speak with the Carmelites, and it's an honor to bring the message for the new year. I decided when Sarah and I talked about me speaking, and she said, "So what's your topic going to be?" And of course, I didn't have a clue. And then I thought about it and said, New Year resolutions, I'll give a pep talk. And I thought about it because I think we really all probably need a pep talk. You think about pep talks often in terms of athletics. The coach or a team member or the owner or the president, if it's a college team, comes in and they say things to the team and try to get them literally pepped up and able to go after a particular goal. But it doesn't only just happen in athletics. It happens in your office when you have office goals. It happens at home. You deal with your children. You're always giving them pep talks. So pep talks, I think, are very important. And what I wanted to do was give a couple of formal definitions and kind of go into what I believe humanity needs a pep talk about. Now, one definition I ran across said a pep talk is a talk that's intended to make someone feel more courageous and more enthusiastic. Another one said it is a vigorous, emotional talk intended to arouse enthusiasm and increase determination to succeed. And finally, the third definition reads, an enthusiastic talk designed to increase confidence, production, cooperation, etc. So we get the feel for what a pep talk is designed to do. Ultimately, a pep talk is a monologue to an individual, team, etc., that is designed to influence and convince the receiver of the talk that he or she or it does in fact have what it takes to achieve a very highly, intensely desired goal. So a pep talk is just generally not all over the place. It's generally about winning. It's about a game. It's about achieving a goal. It's about accomplishing. And a pep talk is supposed to deal with you on the emotional or the feeling level to get you hyped up to realize that this goal is in fact accomplishable and that you can in fact do it. Now, in order to be effective, the pep talk has to be realistic. In other words, the people, individual, body that you're giving the pep talk to needs to, somewhere deep inside of themselves, believe that they can accomplish this goal. Now, generally, you need a pep talk because you've run into some issues, obstacles, impediments along the way to you accomplishing the goal. So the goal that you're reaching for can generally be very difficult or seem difficult. And what the pep talk is designed to do is designed to take your inherent belief that I am capable of reaching this goal and to emotionally bring in this enthusiasm, bring in the confidence, bring in the courage, all of these attributes that were dealt with in each definition to kind of trigger that and let you know that you are capable of doing what it is. So pep talks, you don't need a pep talk when you're rolling, when things are going good. You don't need a pep talk. You need a pep talk when things are a little messed up. You generally need a pep talk to prevent yourself from giving up, because you know you can do it. The person giving the pep talk knows that you can do it, but things are rough. And so what you need to do, you have this capacity, you have the capability to accomplish what you're working toward, but because things are so hard or so difficult, you need some kind of emotional fortification to keep you from giving up and keep you on the path to reaching toward what it is that you're working to accomplish. So a pep talk is designed to appeal to your emotions. It's designed to reinforce the knowledge that you are capable of doing this thing, whatever that thing is. You have to believe that you're capable, because if the coach gives a pep talk, let's just say you have a ninth grade team that has to play the high schoolers. The ninth grade, the little scrawny dudes, the high schoolers are big, developing, and these little kids are like, it ain't no way we can beat those dudes. So the pep talk may not work. If they have decided that they can't do it, then the pep talk is not going to really work. The knowledge, the true belief that the goal is accomplishable is what helps to make the pep talk effective. So human beings are primarily responsible for the difficulties we individually and collectively encounter on the way to seeking whatever it is that we want to accomplish. It's often a mindset. Human beings, we deal with how difficult life is. We generally believe that life is very difficult. We often question whether we're able to deal with all of the things that life appears to throw at us. And we often want to give up. But human beings are a multi-dimensional entity that generally operates on only one level that we have access to. So we talk body, mind, and spirit. If we want to just simply say we are at least engaged on 3 levels of operating all the time. We are engaged on the physical level, we are engaged on the mental level, and even more esoteric and harder to get to is the spiritual level. We generally see ourselves primarily as physical. But, and therein is generally lies the problem. The physical, if you want to talk in terms of auto mechanics, is the car, but it's without the engine. Or the driver. You have this, it has the engine. It doesn't have the driver. If you want to talk in computerese, it's the hard drive. I mean, it's the hardware. But the software is what's needed to operate. Now, the driver, you as a driver need a vehicle to get around. The software needs hardware to operate through. So our bodies is the hardware. It's this car, it's a finished car. But it is incapable of doing anything without the driver. I mean, you can have the most beautiful car in the world, a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, just impeccable. And if nobody gets in it and drives it, it's not going anywhere. It's the same thing. You know, you can bring home the box, the tower for the computer. You don't download software to it. Uh, it's just not going to do anything. So we are generally stuck on the hardware. We're stuck at the beautiful car.
Yeah. That's it.
And what I wanted to do in this pep talk is to help us understand what we're capable of and to understand what we can do and what we have to work with. Now, you know how things become trendy and go out of style or whatever. Recently, people have been saying, "What's your superpower?"
Yeah.
You know, and as human beings, our superpower is manifesting. That's our superpower. We have the ability to see something in the abstract state and make it concrete. That's huge. That's a superpower. We have the ability to take something that's in our mind and bring it into what we probably mistakenly call reality. Everything, this microphone, this chair, the flowers, the painting, none of that stuff could be here if it wasn't first seen in an abstract way. Right? Thoughts or things, that's our superpower. We have the ability, the capability, the capacity to turn our thoughts into things, to take it from up here where nobody can see it but you to out here to where everybody can experience it. And so we are multidimensional, and you can tell where we are, where our thoughts are, based on what you can see in our lives. And that's real serious. That's the way that what you think can be measured. And you know, we are very, very highly self-critical. And because we are highly self-critical, we are therefore very critical of others. Okay? So what I want to talk to us about is dealing consciously with our superpower. Dealing consciously with our ability to manifest. We live in a paradoxical world. We live in space and time. So therefore, we deal with poles and opposites. You know, in the Course in Miracles, they talk about love being all-encompassing. There is no real opposite to love, but in space and time, you have to have down if you have up. You have to have east if you have west. You have to have right if you have wrong. Space and time forces opposites, contradictions, paradoxes illusionarily into what appears to be real. That's why I'm not sure we should say we bring our thoughts into reality, but I'm comfortable saying that thoughts become things, and I'm comfortable, we measure, even though we're these multidimensional beings, even though we operate on more than one dimension at the same time, we cannot not operate on more than one dimension if we're here. We make choices all the time in those paradoxes. Do we decide to be joyful or do we decide to be miserable? Do we decide to be encouraged or do we decide to be discouraged and depressed? We make these choices all the time, but we do them on an unconscious basis for the most part, because we are generally not taught awareness. So it's almost like we sleepwalk through life because we're not conscious of our power, we're not conscious of our ability, and we don't realize truly that thoughts become things, and therefore we think thoughts all the time that produces things that we don't want.
Yep.
All right, I got an amen.
Amen. Yeah, I hear you.
So what I want to say is that, first of all, the reason that pep talks deal so much with emotion and enthusiasm is because thoughts by themselves are not necessarily strong enough to come into existence. You create the thought, but what brings the thought into existence is the feeling that you put behind it. The feeling, the emotion is what propels the thought into the thing that it becomes. So feeling is the thing that we need to be perhaps more careful about thinking and feeling. We need to be more careful about guarding and monitoring than anything else that we do. All the things that we do, the way we approach them, comes from the things that we're thinking and the way we feel about them. Jenna just said something.
You good?
Okay.
You good?
You were talking about how I always say they did it to us when we weren't looking. And I want to explain that. We are generally told that we come here and we can choose anything we want, blah, blah, blah. And you just said, boy, my choices, I'm really screwing this choosing thing up. But we do not come here as little unformed babies. Even when we get here, we have been influenced and persuaded by our culture. We are not isolated where we are this blank tablet. They have this term, it's a Latin term, tabula rasa. It means it's a blank tablet and you can write on it anything that you want to. But no tablet is, this physical tablet was blank, but human tablets are shaped and formed by culture. And we largely live in a culture of fear. That culture of fear has a huge impact on what we think and how we feel, and what we generally believe, for the most part, is the things that we most desire, we can't have.
Why?
I don't know. That's just the way the culture shapes it.
Fear.
I don't believe that,
Fear.
but I had to look at it and do analysis and get to it. If you think, I know, going back, I've been talking to people that I went to high school with. You go into this thing, people that you're talking to, people generally don't expect to get what they want. The reaching the place where you have great expectations and you're sincere about them, money is one of the easiest things to deal with. If you, Julia in the 10th grade, said, I'm going to be a millionaire, everybody around you will laugh, ridicule, and depending upon how strong you were, impacted your ability to believe that you could become that, and you would end up living a self-fulfilling prophecy because you would say, well, I want to do this, but I really can't have it. So you are sending the aspect of yourself, the I am aspect, the God aspect of you, mixed signals. And you don't really know what to do. You want this. If you want it, I can get it for you, but you don't believe I can get it for you. So you're dealing with monitoring thoughts and feelings is just so important. We unconsciously think, one of the things that I've learned through the studies that I have, I'm going to tell you something. And when I was in high school, anybody here read Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah.
All of us did, that are generally seeking spiritual enlightenment. For the most part, we read Think and Grow Rich. You were told to read Think and Grow Rich. And one of the most important things about that book is in the title. It says, think and grow rich.
Yep.
Think and grow rich. And in those damn near 400 pages that Napoleon Hill writes, ultimately what he's trying to get you to do is deal with the way that you think and feel. So that is,
Change your reality.
yes, change your mind.
Change your way of
Yeah.
thinking.
Change your mind and you change your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thoughts are powerful.
Thoughts are powerful. And if you put the feeling behind them, they become achievable.
You're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable. So I want to let you know that you cannot come up with anything in your mind that cannot be manifested. I say all possibilities are possible, but the one impossibility there is that you being able to come up with something that cannot be achieved. Now, it may not be achieved, but it can be achieved. I want you to know that, to be well aware of it. If you can think about it, it can happen. It doesn't have to, but it can. So thoughts can lift you up, it can take you down. The book that we're going to get into after we finish Spiritual Growth is named Unveiled Mysteries. He says that destructive thoughts in your mind literally cause the disintegration of your body.
Yep.
It's your energy.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
dissipating.
Exactly. So you can dissipate it by the way you think, and we think ourselves to death,
Yeah.
literally, because through the way we think, we dissipate, we disintegrate, we depress ourselves through our mind. So it's so important for us to have control of our thoughts and feelings. Non-control of thoughts and feelings begins your demise in space and time. Most of us here probably believe in reincarnation. I'm not gonna argue about it. I do. If you don't, it's cool. But the reason we are required to return so many times is because the ultimate central sun, the quote unquote main God that we're all part of and made up of God's stuff, is trying to take us to the point that we understand our power. We are very, very powerful beings. And the best way for you to be controlled or for you to not reach what you want to do is for you to control yourself. Archie Bunker used to tell Edith, stifle yourself. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're in a boxing ring and your opponent is over there hitting himself upside the head. You just kind of like back up and let him handle that, all right? But that's what we're doing to ourselves. The way we think, our disbelief, our decision that we have to believe in a Christ outside of ourselves, that we have to get to God through somebody else. These are all cultural things that have impacted us since before we came into this world as actual bodies. And for you to, Margarita said she didn't say something because I'm weird anyway. Most of us are weird, right? Most of us are weird. We generally, the reason, everybody here grow up in church.
We're not typical.
We're not typical. We had to get out of church just as soon as we could. It was like, oh. I told my mother, I said, all right, I'm going to do this, but when I graduate from high school, I ain't going to church no more. She, why? I said, look, I'm going. I'm here with you. I'm going every Sunday.
Yeah.
But when I leave, I am not listening to this stuff. Now, I didn't even know what I should be listening to at that time, but I knew that what I was listening, we are taught weakness by the culture that we live in, and we are taught weakness because there are people and systems that need to prey on us, to take from us our substance, our money, our time and energy to keep going, but it's not necessarily good for us. And the best way for them to get us to continue to cooperate with us is through our education, through our religion, through our philosophy, through our TV and our media. All of these things are designed to get us to cooperate and go along with. And we need a really spiritual revolution. So I'm going to close this out. We talk about meditation all the time. One of the things that we need to do, and I so appreciate, how long have we been singing Be Still and Know That I Am God? A year?
Maybe about a year and a half, yeah.
I
like
so appreciate us doing that. It gives such profound instructions in 5 or 6 words. And one of the things I love about it is people look at 3 magic words, and when it says I am God, they start kind of,
that don't
but
feel right.
yeah, but be still and know that I am God. We say it right there and there because on some level we think we talked about somebody else. We think that somebody else has said, be still and know that I am God. But if be still and know that I am God, I am is a very, very powerful
Concept.
yeah. And we, knowing that, so the first step to our being able to achieve what we want to achieve in this pep talk is being still and knowing that you are God.
Woo.
The second thing is that you need to gain, through stillness, through meditation, access to the inner self, the place inside you where God resides, the place inside you where manifestation occurs. You need to believe in that self. You need to know that it's there. And you need to be able to get there. And when you gain access to this self, it gives you entry into your true power. And also, give things and phenomena that you don't understand the right to exist. Don't just dismiss something because you don't understand it, because at one time you didn't understand how to walk. At one time you didn't understand how to drive. We are always capable. We have the characteristics and attributes of the very force that created life. And I don't know that all, I'm not saying that we are superior to animals or plants or any of those other things, but we appear to be the only aspect of creation that has the ability to change our reality by thoughts. If there was no man, if there were only animals here, there would be no buildings, there would be no streets, there would be no roads. You wouldn't need any. But, animals they deal with instinct. We go beyond instinct and intuition. And the biggest thing that happens to us is that we have a choice, and we generally choose to stifle ourselves. So I want to say that you cannot conceive or desire anything that can't be manifested. And the only thing that stops you at this point, because they did it to us when we weren't looking, but now we have begun to look. And we can come out of this forest that we've been placed in. And we can see the light that we are and that we are connected to. So my pep talk is to just say, you can't come up with anything. To my thinking, the only impossibility is thinking of something that is impossible. And, you know, you guys are the first team. Thank you.
All right. Yes, that was awesome.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
on the air.
Okay, let me.